observation. I thank you, Madam.
माननीय सदस्य श्री मनीष तिवारी जी।
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. I rise to speak on the Oil Fields Regulation and Development Amendment Act 2024. Before I commence my submissions, on a lighter note, I would like to say that it was good to hear the reply to the bill even before the discussion had commenced. So therefore, this seems to be a new precedent in the House that even before a discussion on the bill commences, you have the minister preempting and trying to offer justifications which he could have very much offered at the end of this discussion. Now, the statement of objects and reasons of this bill, and with your permission, Madam Chairperson, I would like to read out a line or two. It says in para 2 that the said act, which provides for a very different global energy context. So therefore, the rationale for amending this bill, according to the statement of objects and reasons, is that the global context has changed. I do not think anybody can have a quibble with it, because the global context changes on an everyday basis, especially when you have mercurial people in office in some parts of the world. But however, I would like to point out that India's quest for energy security and India's path towards facing and confronting these challenges has been a continuum now going back almost 5 decades. India weathered the first oil shock in 1973, when overnight, from $3 a barrel, the price of oil, crude oil, rose to $12 a barrel. India weathered the second oil shock when the Iranian Revolution took place, when there was again a spike in the price of oil. India weathered a third oil shock in 1990-91, when the first Gulf War commenced. And so therefore, I would very humbly like to point out to my colleagues on the Treasury benches that history did not start in 2014. History started much earlier. Yes. I think there is a need to be cognizant if you want to rise above partisan politics and really make this into a discussion about India's energy security rather than a he said, she said point scoring, which unfortunately is what commenced this debate. What is the global context today, Madam Chairperson? The global context today is that you have an ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. You have a conflict between Israel, Hamas, Houthis, Hezbollah, by extension, certain other sovereign Westphalian states. And then you have the continuing rise of China since 2013, which has not been a too peaceful rise, and it has implications both for India's national security and, by extension, energy security, which is a subset of that larger, overarching construct of national security. So therefore, our vulnerabilities remain. The 3 choke points, which actually are the Achilles heel of the global energy trade, the Straits of Bab al-Mandab, the Straits of Hormuz, the Straits of Malacca, they still continue to be the existential dilemma for all energy importing and energy producing and energy consuming countries. And unfortunately, and this is not to apportion blame on anybody, but globally also, and through collective efforts, we've not really been able to find a solution, a reasonable, sustainable solution to these existential security dilemmas which have an impact on the largest energy-consuming nations in Asia, be it India, be it China, be it South Korea, be it Japan. That continues to be a continuous Achilles heel. Of course, we've had some windfalls over the last couple of years. The Russia-Ukraine war, in a certain sense of the word, was a crude oil windfall for India. And not only for India, for China, for Turkey, for various countries, even in the European Union, which while supporting the sanctions against Russia, actually round-tripped their energy needs. And therefore, it's very interesting that India's oil imports from Russia in 2021 were 4.54 million tons. In 23, it increased to 88.92 million tons. We bought crude oil worth $49 billion from Russia. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. Every country acts in its own best national interest. And therefore, if we were getting access to cheaper crude oil and we availed of that opportunity, I am not going to have a quibble with the government on that. All that I'm going to point out is that these windfalls do not happen every day. And we need to be prepared. We need to be prepared. We need to be future ready, which unfortunately we are not. And I'll point out as to what the factual situation is, despite the claims which the Honourable Minister has made. In the year 2014-15, our production of crude and natural gas was 37.461 million metric tons. Our import in 2014-15 was 189.432 million metric tons of crude oil. The average price of crude was about $84.20 per barrel. In 2023-24, our crude oil production has actually declined to 29.4 million metric tons. Our crude oil import has actually risen to 243.3 billion metric tons. The average price of the Indian basket of crude oil as on the 10th of March 2025 stands at $70.65 to a barrel, which is almost about $10 less than what it was. Madam, you'll have to give me some time because this is an important subject connected with India's energy security. There are not many people in this House. So therefore, under those circumstances, allow me to complete. I'll need about 7 to 10 minutes more. I request your indulgence. And the average price was about almost $9 or $10 less than what it was in 2014. The unfortunate situation today is that in the year 2023-24, we imported 87.8% of our crude and oil gas and natural gas needs. The figure could be almost as high as 90% today. It raises a very legitimate question as to what really has this government been doing over the past 10 years in attempting to bring down this import dependency on oil and natural gas. Let me come to Mumbai High. The Mumbai High crude oil and natural gas oil field at its peak was producing 476,000 barrels per day. What is its production now? 134,000 barrels per day. Notwithstanding the collaboration with Chevron, with ExxonMobil, and the large oil majors, which Mr. Hardeep Puri referred to in his introduction to the bill, the fact is that the Bombay High collaboration has not boosted the oil production. Minister, when you get your chance, you'll get a chance to reply. We never interrupted you, heard you very peacefully. So therefore, when you get a chance to reply, we'll be here to hear you. Similarly, shale oil and gas. Now, according to estimates, there's 96 trillion cubic feet of gas and 1 billion barrels of shale oil in Cambay, Krishna Godavari and the Kaveri Basin. What has the government done in the past 10 years to tap the potential of shale oil? Why is there no explanation for what has been done over the past 10 years? This bill is not coming as if this government was sworn in yesterday. This government has been in office for 11 years now. So I would like to ask, what has this government done with regard to trying to explore shale oil and gas, which incidentally has made America almost self-sufficient insofar as their oil and gas needs are concerned? The Honourable Minister, Mr. Prahlad Joshi, to whom I had the honour of asking a question in the morning, which he chose to duck, but well, that's his prerogative, had said that 100 million tons of coal gasification and liquefaction would be achieved by 2030 by investing 4 lakh crores. I would like to ask, where are we in 2025? You have a target for 2030. Where are we with regard to coal gasification and liquefaction? How much of this target really has been achieved? So what you require, in addition to a law, is actually a roadmap to make India energy sufficient, which unfortunately is completely missing. I would like to end by just 2 or 3 suggestions, Madam Chairperson. There's a need to think out of the box. The Minister was absolutely correct. Oil exploration and gas exploration costs a lot of money. And that money, unfortunately, is not readily available in the amounts and volumes that it is required. I'm not suggesting that you go back to the wildcatting days of the Wild West. But what is the government planning to do to encourage independent oil explorers? After all, there's a whole community around the world of independent oil explorers. Does your bill have anything that incentivizes these independent oil explorers, in addition to, of course, the oil majors whom you are wanting that they come in? And if they do, that would be more than welcome. Similarly, there was an international energy forum in Riyadh. The minister is aware of it, given his long years in India's diplomatic service. Now, that forum was essentially created to facilitate a consumer-producer dialogue. How much of a role is India proactively playing in this forum in order to ensure that there is a dialogue between consumers and producers, especially given the fact that we import 90% or 87.8% as of 2023-24 of our oil needs? So therefore, the reality is the Indian economy even today is hydrocarbon dependent. And out of that hydrocarbon dependency, 65 or 55% of it is still coal. It is not even oil and gas. So therefore, I would like to request the government, you need to come out with a proper strategy which takes into account hydrocarbons, intermediates, and renewables in a holistic manner. So therefore, you have a roadmap to energy self-sufficiency by 2050 or by 2060. Insofar as your bill is concerned, Mr. Minister, it makes minor changes here and there. So it's more of a technical bill. What is really missing is a vision. What is really missing is a roadmap. And as I started by saying, you are not a government which was sworn in yesterday. You are a government which is 11 years old. And you need to account for the fact that what have you done over the past 11 years. Thank you.